What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist here with
Gersh1.
and today I'm repping the Ultramarines colors because I'm here with
Gersh1.
giving you guys another 40K video entitled For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put a question in front of your question because we get to those questions first.
Because I'm here with
Gersh1. I think what you wanted to say is you're repping Ultramarines because you've been playing Space Marine 2 and that's been on your mind.
Yeah, actually, I beat the story mode this morning, so it's literally fresh in my cranium.
Good, because then we could talk about it because I did not play the game, but I did watch the, what do you call it?
The cutscenes and all
the
that?
cutscenes, speed through or whatever. And the question comes from, if you guys want to support the channel, you can. Support us with a super thanks. If you do, you could ask us anything you want and we will guarantee answer the next question, which this question comes from Roger Rangel. What do you guys think of Space Marine 2?
So Space Marine 2, in my opinion, it's an old school game with a new flavor. Like this game is different than most games that come out today because there's no microtransactions, there's no like loot boxes, and it feels like Gears of War but with a 40K skin, and man, do they do 40K right.
Yeah, from watching the walkthroughs, there are certain elements of the way that a Space Marine is just walking through the battlefield that is like, yeah, that's what a Space Marine is supposed to do. One of the big ones for me was realizing that throughout the entire campaign, you're fighting through ruins.
Yeah.
Like, this planet is done. Like, so imagine, like, they defeat the Tyranids, they defeat the, spoiler alert for everything we're going to say, right? The Thousand Suns. What's left? A fucking like destroyed city. All that exists in terms of Imperial citizenry is the Imperial Guard. Yeah. And it kind of makes you think of like, oh yeah, a Space Marine is an elite warrior. If they're called to a battlefield,
it's done. Like they were basically just there to help get any important relics or information or any important people out of that planet. Because they used a freaking virus bomb right in the beginning of the game.
Oh, yeah.
And as you can see, like, this virus bomb, all it does is basically give them time to fight off the Tyranids. Because obviously I think it says in, like, a week or two? Or
yeah,
maybe
or, like, give
days.
reinforcements because it's, like, phase 1 of the entire thing.
Yeah.
And the process of them shooting the virus bomb was pretty awesome because in my mind, whenever we would do the lore for virus bombs, I always imagined a battle or like a ship coming down and basically nuking the planet, turning the what do you call it? Yeah, and then turning it into sludge and stuff. So I thought it was devastating. But for that to happen, it comes from the ground, so like it shoots it off into the air, and then for what's his name, Titus, to still be alive, it's like, oh. I thought that was like I'm gonna kill myself, but I mean, obviously you can't because he's the main character. But
Right. But yeah, overall it's really good. Story mode was a little short in my opinion, but I mean the meat and potatoes of the game seems to be in the PvE and the missions and stuff like that. So,
do you feel that the campaign did a good job of making you care for Titus?
A little bit. I mean, again, you have this whole like you kind of feel like he's invincible.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously Space Marines are, like you said, elite, but like you feel like this guy's untouchable.
Or bigger than he's supposed to be. Because like the beginning portion is trying to explain why he's in the Death Watch. He's in the Death Watch because he was accused of being a traitor because he was able to hold that
Chaos relic.
Yeah, and not get corrupted. So then right off the bat, you're just like, oh, he's kind of powerful. And then he's going through the battles, and it just feels like everybody doubts him, but he keeps accomplishing things. Yeah. To the point where at the end, him and his team, they go like, you know what? We don't know how to figure this out. What was it? This is jumping super ahead, but like when the keys are, they don't know how to destroy the keys to open and then he's like, or what? I think it's the captain is like, but I have my lieutenant. He can tell me because you're so good. And he's like, well, what if we just turn the keys or whatever? And I was like, oh,
that was
cheesy,
really cheesy. Like, how do we get this relic to do stuff? I'll just flip it 180 degrees. Yeah. I mean, it's a Necron piece of ancient technology, and for it to be that simple, I mean, I guess that's why the Necrons are as OP as they are.
Yeah.
We don't have to put some mathematical, just turn it around.
Yeah. I also liked how the twist at the end is that the apothecary is the same guy Chaplain, sorry, is the same guy that accused Titus of being a traitor, and now they have to go on a ship with Marnius Calgar to like Space Marine 3 basically.
Yeah.
So that kind of made me feel like, oh yeah, like the odds are against him. I didn't like how this made Calgar feel like a little bitch.
Yeah, Calgar to me, he wasn't as like, oh my god, this guy's a freaking chapter master, like nothing can happen to him. But at the same time, I think that's good. I think if he would have done too much, maybe it would have been like tiptoeing on the footsteps of like Gilliman.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Because he is a playable character on the tabletop, so it would suck if like you're a Space Marine 2 player. They made Calgar seem like this super OP dude, and then you play him and he dies. But yeah, so them doing that, I guess, was good. There was a cool cutscene at the end where like who was it? The sorcerer that they're fucking fighting ends up doing the whole little thing. And then Marnius is the only one that can move through like a freeze frame warp power thingy.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool.
And it's like, wait, he's not a librarian.
No, but I think it's the shields, because even his shield captains, like their thing was like glimmering a certain color. But then like, why didn't the shield captains move? Yeah. And also, why did Titus move? And
yeah, that's the thing too. It's like Titus has resistance to chaos, but he's not a blink. At least they don't outright say it. And he's also not a psyker. So how is he able to do all this stuff?
Plot armor, right?
The might of the Emperor.
Well, and same thing with his two
buddies, yeah.
Yeah. Which I like the dynamic between the buddies. The blonde one was like, oh, fuck this guy. Something's up with him. Yeah. And it wasn't until that little fight towards the middle of the game.
He literally puts a bolter to his head.
Yeah. Just a little fight, between Space Marines. When that happened, I instantly thought back to us reading the Primarch series. And whenever there are Space Marine fights on the battlefield, when you get back onto the battle barge, what do? You duke it out in the pits. Yeah. I was like, how badass would it be if they showed that? They didn't.
That would have been interesting if we had like a battle between them,
like a mini, like just take your armor off and fight, and then you can control Titus or whatever. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Did you like the twists that came along? Like, oh, Necrons.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting the Necrons at all. I knew the Thousand Sons were going to be in there because of the trailer, but when I saw they were in a Necron tomb world, which on top of that is a burial world, which on top of that is getting invaded by chaos. Yeah. It's like, dang, all these layers, and it's like really cool to see how like Necrons played a big part, but there was not a single Necron in the game.
Yeah, that was a bummer. Well, I know that because I didn't play the game, but there's side quests, right? Do you think that there's anything there?
I haven't done those yet, but it'd be pretty interesting if there would be, and maybe with like the rest of like the season pass. We do, because they do say we're getting new enemies and more missions. So maybe we might get something with like Necron warriors or some other type of like chaos stuff. But it's interesting what they can do.
I did like how in the story or the campaign, you kind of Titus takes control of this team, and they have to learn to work with each other, even though they're like battle brothers. They're still, even though they're Space Marines, which are supposed to be these elite superhuman warriors. They still have those very basic human elements of like, well, how are we going to get along?
Yeah, because it's like that. You see that like power change a lot, because Titus goes from being a captain to going into the Black Shields, and now he's demoted to a lieutenant. The lieutenant is now taking control of the sergeant's team, making the sergeant pretty much just a regular Marine under Titus, and now Titus is answering to another captain, which is what he used to be on that level. Yeah. So you see all these different power dynamics shift, and how that kind of affects the rankings of the Space Marines.
It makes me think of like the possibilities of homebrewing, captains, lieutenants, and all that kind of stuff in my own like Space Marine chapter, because we had a conversation with a docile creature a while back about homebrewing and how I've never been the type of person that like, I want to create my homebrew chapter. Let me focus on this captain. Let me focus on this lieutenant. I thought that was stupid, right? Yeah. But seeing this, it's like, oh no, I see why. It would be cool to like say this model specifically comes from the Death Watcher. This model is specifically like geared for this thing or whatever. So.
Yeah. A lot of different things that like you don't really think about on the actual tabletop. You get to explore it in this game, and I think that's one of the really cool things you get to see. Because if you have no idea what Warhammer 40K is, if somebody plays this game and plays a campaign mode, like you feel like you have a good grasp on this universe.
Yeah. What did you think of the relationship between the Space Marines and the Cadians?
That was really interesting. I thought the Cadians were very respectful. Yeah. Like, there's a couple scenes where they're just walking down the hall and the Cadians like bend to one knee.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, even the little details are there.
Yeah.
You see Cadians who are like defectors, deserters, get like outright fire squad on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, really cool stuff.
I didn't like how they depicted cultists within the Imperial Guard. Because with the defectors, when he says, "Are you a defector?" one of the Space Marines looks at his arm, and he has like a tattoo of an eye with scribbles around it. I thought that was really cheesy. Yeah. And I know how like the models make what is it called, like heretical runes, so cool. And to see it's just like a little glowy electro tattoo on his arm. It was like, fuck it, that's not cool.
Yeah, along with that, I do like how a single bolter shot just blows up a human.
I don't remember saying that, but yeah, that's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, I really like that, because that's like, you would think in most games, oh, you got enemies, it's going to take a couple shots to like bring them down. Nah, one shot to any human, be it cultist or Cadian, and they just blow up.
Yeah, it reminds you of Metal Slug. One of the most, this is all over YouTube now, but one of the most badass moments is the Thousand Suns dreadnought getting pushed through the wall by that other dreadnought, and just like with the assault cannon or whatever cannon, it was like into his chest, which is really just his face. I thought that was badass.
Yeah, when you're fighting the Hell Brutes, like, it's really interesting, because like it's this big hulking thing, but at the same time you got to remember, the Space Marine is in the chest piloting it. Take the Space Marine out, and then they're done.
Oh, I didn't remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there was a moment where one of the dreadnoughts throws a rock at the Hell Brute, and it falls over, and I thought, really, just the rock?
But it probably crushed the dude inside.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, I think the campaign was pretty cool. What you think of the gameplay?
The gameplay I liked. It took a little bit of learning to kind of remember, okay, so I need this to block, I need this to do this thing. And the one thing that I don't know if I like or not is the health, because you have 3 little blips of like armor, which regenerates, and then you have your main health, and that doesn't regenerate unless you use like stim packs. And it's very easy, especially in the harder difficulties, for your health to just go away like that.
Yeah.
So it's almost a necessity that like when you're playing this game, you need to be playing with like 3 other people besides just the bots, so you can actually get certain missions done.
Yeah. When the person, like, let's say there's 3 of you, one of you guys is down because your health bar goes all the way down. Do you just drag the dude with you, or is it just like
No.
respawn?
So they don't respawn. They're basically just like on the floor, and you have to go up to them and like revive them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been interesting if you could like, I mean, there are ways to like revive yourself, but I think if they do add new classes, maybe an apothecary would be an interesting class to add to see how they could help revive people and basically help mitigate that like weird health system that they have.
Yeah.
So who knows? Apothecary, chaplains. I just can't wait to see what other classes they put in there.
Yeah. But that's this question took up the entire thing.
Yeah.
But the game it looks really awesome.
Yeah, if you're on the fence about this game, get it. If you're a 40K player, why haven't you gotten it? Like, this game needs to be played if you're any type of fan of 40K. Even if you just want like a shooter that's like pretty, not like sandboxy, because it does kind of push you in a certain direction. Just go ahead and try this game out. I don't think you'll be disappointed in the least.
Yeah. Thanks for the question, guys, and we'll talk tomorrow.
That's right. Keep those questions coming, and so will we. This has been Ultramarine Sound Alchemist with
Gershwan.
just regular Gershwan, and we are out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.